Hello, my name is Trevor, and this short video is on memorizing the 10 Commandments. So you might say, why? Why memorize the 10 Commandments? Well, you know what? Someone else asked Jesus an interesting question. They said, what good deed must I do to have eternal life? And do you know what Jesus' response was? Quote, if you would enter into life, keep the commandments, end quote. So, the commandments are essential, important for Christian living. Just on Jesus' word alone, what else do we need, really? But beyond that, the 10 Commandments, sometimes called the Decalogue, contains within itself an expression of the natural law. We naturally know it's not good to go out and murder people. It's also made known to us by divine revelation, such as to say that not only do we know naturally through our own hearts, through our own conscience, that the things contained in the 10 Commandments are part of natural law, part of the natural world, without having revelation, but also on top of that, God reveals them. So not only should it be common sense, but God says, hey, here's the 10 Commandments. So that's a second reason why it's essential that we learn and uphold and establish those things and teach our children. And more than that, as adults, if we don't have the 10 Commandments memorized, it's not something to be embarrassed about. There are a number of folks that I have learned over the years that haven't known their 10 Commandments. So the time to be embarrassed, time for that embarrassment to go away, and time to start learning them. So let's begin without any further ado. This activity, this way of learning, uses the hands, okay? Especially for those visual and, kinesthetic learners. So, if you are an auditory learner, there may be other methods that are more helpful for you, but nevertheless, this is a good activity to do and to try it out. So why don't we go ahead and get started? We have our first commandment. You bring your finger and you bring it like this. I am the Lord your God. You shall not have strange gods before me. So God is first. Number one. He's up there. Number one. All right. Second commandment. It looks like a V. Okay. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. V. Vain. Okay? Number 3. It makes kind of, if you go like this, it makes kind of like a K. Okay? Remember to keep holy the Lord's day, the Sabbath. Okay? Keep holy the Sabbath. K. And those first 3 contain the commandments that are directed towards God. Now, the following commandments apply to us in our relationship with each other. The 4th commandment, honor your father and your mother. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. As you will. All right? The 5th commandment, you shall not kill. Okay, so it's kind of like a choking. Okay. Kids usually have fun with that one. Anyway. All right. Number 6. You shall not commit adultery. You're pointing at your ring finger. You shall not commit adultery. There it is. Number 6. Number 7. What you're going to do is you kind of think about stealing these 2 fingers. Thou shalt not steal. You shall not steal. Number 8, you put your thumbs in. You say, you shall not bear false witness. You shall not bear false witness. Okay? Kind of like you're telling a secret, like you're gossiping about somebody or telling a lie. Okay? So, yeah. All right. Number 9. So you have your fingers, your 10 fingers. You put this one over here, and that's your neighbor's wife, and somehow this is coveting. But thou shalt not covet your neighbor's wife. And number 10, you shall not covet your neighbor's stuff, your neighbor's goods. Okay? And that's like, grabbing your neighbor's goods. But nevertheless, those are the 10 hand motions for learning the 10 commandments. Now, if you find other ways that are helpful for teaching and or learning the 10 commandments, feel free to share those. The more methods, the better. We have so many different learners out there. There are so many different memory devices for learning these things that it's helpful to learn various ways of memorizing. Eventually, you won't even need the tools or even need to do your fingers or anything like that. It'll just be in your brain. And so the more you do it, the better it is. I've seen very, very young children master the 10 Commandments by expanding their memory through this kind of activity. And this is actually a very ancient practice that even goes back to St. Thomas Aquinas, St. Augustine, and earlier as far as an ancient practice of expanding one's memory. So it's a very important part of the faith. Memorization is essential, as St. John Paul II talked about as Pope. So definitely memorize your 10 Commandments, and God's blessings and peace upon you all.